Make Arabic.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti on your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana.
Don't worry, man. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Good evening and welcome to National Matters. I am your pastor and the host for this program, but I'm so delighted. In the studio with me, I have a brother. We've walked the same path together for a long time. His name is Fabian Mumba. Welcome to the program.
Good evening, Pastor.
Amen.
It's good to see you in this beautiful studio. I didn't know you have gone this far.
I didn't know we have come this far.
No. Thank God for this.
This is what the Lord is doing for
Amen.
us. Yeah. And I must say to all of you CamNet TV viewers, the late Dr. Chileshe, the late Dr. Chileshe Mulenga, Home Affairs PS, is he was a very good friend, a brother, a man with a vision and a passion for this nation. I can testify that because him and I, we were just zooming down on the national project, and we'll be able to disclose that as we go. But without his input and without his direction, my wife and I would not have taken the proper direction, but it was so surprising to hear that he passed on yesterday, and so sudden.
It's very sad, Pastor. We all got the news with shock. Dr. Mulenga is a very good friend of mine and colleague. We've interacted very well, and it's shocking. We just want to pass the condolences to the family, all the friends and the government and the people of Zambia on this very unfortunate
Absolutely.
Passing on.
Yeah, to His Excellency and the Vice President and the entire cabinet, the leadership of PF, and especially to the widow and children, please accept our deepest condolences. And on behalf of my wife, Pastor Victoria, on behalf of the leadership of the Healing Word Ministries, members of staff of CamNet TV, on behalf of those Zambians who loved him and worked with him and they have no chance to pass their condolences, as a family, please accept our condolences. And I'm so grateful to be here, Mr. Mumba. CamNet TV, as I always say, that whoever comes on this platform, you've got to know them personally. And Mr. Mumba, I'm sure the nation would want to know who is Fabian Mumba. Look in that camera and tell them who you are.
Thank you very much, Pastor. I'm Fabian Mumba, somebody I think who has been privileged to service this country in various capacities. I've serviced President Frederick
That
Chiluba.
one will come to it.
Oh.
That's my role. I'm just saying, who is Fabian Where were you born? Which school you went
very
to?
good.
Are you married or a divorcee or what? The nation needs to know.
The nation needs to know.
Yeah.
I was born on 27th May 1969 at Kitwe Central Hospital. I was born in Chimwemwe. You know when Chimwemwe bateka, so I've emphasized the Chimwemwe aspect of it.
Chimwemwe and Buchi, they are close to each other.
Yeah, that is the environment where we produce presidents, first ladies, so tuliwakari sana.
And now we'll talk about that.
Interesting, Pastor.
Yeah.
You know that at the primary school where I went, Natwanga Primary School in Chimwemwe, we were together. Our big sister, Christine, was our bigger sister. She was ahead of us.
Christine Kaseba.
Kaseba, yes.
Really?
So that's a family I know very well. You recall to my wedding, the young sister was the matron at my wedding because we grew up together there. The first lady, Mrs. Banda, Tandiwa, she's our young sister. The brother and myself were in the same class, and we used to play together at our home and their home. So we saw Mama now we can't say Tandiwa.
Absolutely.
Grow up and so I went to Natwanga Primary School in Kitwe. From there I went to Kitwe Boys Secondary School. And then from there I went to the University of Zambia. And from there I worked for a number of government institutions. We will come to that. And later on I went to University of Lusaka where I did my master's degree. And then after that, I'm now in business. And I'm proud to be a church elder also at my church. Yeah.
Which church are you with?
I'm with the Evangelical Church in Zambia, but specifically we have a branch in town, which is called Lifeway Central Evangelical Church. It's just behind the Ratsa there. And our church, sometimes people confuse it with the Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia. Because our presiding bishop, Bishop Paul Mususu, is also very much, as you know, associated with the Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia.
Yeah.
So people mix the two. But we are the Evangelical Church in Zambia, and we have more than 1,000 congregations all over Zambia. So I'm privileged to be an elder in that setup.
Amen.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Mumba, you haven't told the nation, because you know it took me a long time when you were at State House, that actually you are not Mumba from Kansama, Chinsali, Luwingu, Mporogoso. You are Mumba from Northwestern
Province, yes.
Yes.
And that's the beauty for us who grew up on the Copper Belt, because the tribe was the least wanted to talk about. So we interact. Up to now, I go to bury friends in Kitwe. Then I discovered, oh, okay. But we grew up together, playing together. We never looked at that. So I come from Northwestern Province. My father comes from Chief Msele's area in Karumbira district. He was Kaonde, he's late now. My mother comes from two chiefdom. On her paternal side, she comes from Senior Chief Mukumbi. Now it's Karumbira. And also she comes from Chief Chizela in Mufumbwe. So I'm one of the few 100% Kaondes. Yeah.
One of the few.
One of the few. Then I'm married to a Tonga princess, because my wife is a granddaughter of the late Chief Macha.
Really?
Kumacha Kumusanza. And I've got 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls. I think that's me. Yeah.
I'm grateful to hear that. Now, I didn't know that my sister comes from Southern Province.
Yes.
It brings me to one of the questions that I have on the list, Mr. Mumba. Why has politics become regional? You know, when I grew up, when I was growing up, because I'm still growing anyway, when I was still growing up, I didn't know of this tribal thing which people are perpetuating. You know, I grew up with Lozis, I grew up with Tongas, I grew up with Easterners.
Yeah.
It was not an issue. But now it's getting on my mind. It's like everyone now must identify themselves with the tribe they come from.
Pastor, that's very, very sad and very unfortunate. And this is being basically promoted by politicians, so to speak, because I really don't understand why we should want to divide ourselves this time around. After Dr. Kenneth Kaunda worked very hard to unite this country. But I am happy myself with one thing, that this is a dying culture.
You think so?
Yes. This afternoon I saw something on TV. There was a Kaunda show. Chief Kanongesha, my friend, was marrying off the son, who is Lunda, to a daughter to Senior Chief Karilele, who is Lamba, but the mother to that girl is from Eastern Province. Now, you can politic around tribe, but I think there comes a time when this thing will cease to function. My children, their mother is Tonga. So for how long shall I campaign or use tribe as something to promote myself on? I have my young brother, I'm sure he's watching in Kitwe. He's married to my Wapongosh from Eastern Province. So that nephew of mine at home, or my son, because we were Africans, that's my son. What tribe is he? Is he Kaonde? Or is he from Eastern Province? He's a Zambian.
Absolutely.
So you cannot go and campaign to that child against Easterners. He will not listen to you. You cannot campaign to my son against the Tongas or against the Kaondes. Now, our children also, we see how they interact. They are not looking at tribe. So, in the speed of time, and I don't know when, this will come to go. But it's something we must fight and we must not encourage. You know, sometimes there was one time when somebody was being very tribal on me in Kitwe, and he said to me, very foolishly, I looked at the fellow. Street market, State House. You know what it is.
Yeah.
So it is something we must not support. We must not encourage, because it can destroy this country. If you want to get votes, I think go and sell your manifesto. Go and explain what is it that you are supposed to do for the people. What difference are you going to bring? If you want to become an MP, because this thing you are pastor, let me put it this way. When I was in Northwestern, there were some people who were coming to me to say, here where you have come as PS, be very careful with the Lundas and the Luvales.
They didn't know you were...
No, I knew I was Kaonde, but okay. They were cautioning me. Those were Kaondes now, coming to caution me to be very careful with the Lundas and the Luvales.
The same Northwestern.
The same Northwesterners. And I want to demonstrate something. Then later on, the same Northwest, the Kaondes now come to me and say, you came with the Luvales, but you also must be very careful with them. This position the President Banda has given us to win the Kaondes, that was their understanding. But I didn't go far. I started being told that, you see, these friends of ours from Kasempa, we have to be careful with them. Now, within the Kaondes themselves, they started the Kasempa Solwezi issue. So that me now, I must favor the Kaondes from Solwezi and not Kasempa. But it didn't end there. Within Solwezi, somebody says, these guys when they had power, they were very positive. Now this power is for us when I'm Kumbi. Now, when you look at that trajectory, it doesn't end there. It keeps going down. From you being from the same chiefdom, you start talking about you being from your certain clan. From a clan, you now start saying, we were born from this grandmother. You are coming down. From the grandmother, now start saying, if mumunda somo twafyalwa. Balabambya bafyalwa mundi ba same grandmother, mwabasesha kukumbali. Now it remains, never mwafyalirwa in your mother's line. But it doesn't end there. When you start having children, now it becomes in another band. Now it's a very dangerous seat. And I've interacted for a very long period at very high level. When we go around the provinces, we keep picking these issues. Here in Zambia, here in Lusaka, you may be talking about these are Easterners, these are Northerners, these are Westerners. That is at national level. But when you go to provincial levels, you go and find another strange politics there. Oh, no, these are Ngonizi, these are Chewazi, no, these are Sengazi. Again, you start coming down. You know, when you are in Bembaland, you also hear, no, Abababe Mbankonko, Abachabana Shani. So it is not something we should worship. It's something we should destroy. I should vote for Pastor Chiluba, not because Pastor Chiluba comes from my same village. I should vote for Pastor Chiluba because there is something he's bringing to the table. What is it that Pastor Chiluba is going to do which is going to change the life of my children, for instance? How Pastor Chiluba, if he becomes my MP or my president, how is he going to change the welfare of our people, our society? Not because Tufuma Kumushumo, we come from the same province. It's retrogressive, and we shouldn't go that route.
You know, just last week, about last week, I was chatting with somebody and from Southern Province. And I was saying, you know, if there is one thing, excuse me, if there is one thing we should destroy, today it's looking comfortable, but tomorrow it's not. I was saying, I look forward to come and, well, I'm not going to be an MP. I was just telling him.
Yes.
I look forward to come to your province in Southern Province so that I'm voted in as Member of Parliament in Southern Province, knowing I'm from Chinsali.
Yeah.
You know what he said? He said, you know, Pastor, this is just a question of time. Me, I'm from the Gwembe Valley. The church comes from this. Now he starts explaining and saying, no, even us Tongas, it's just that you look at us like we are one people, but there are those of us who come from. I said, my goodness. You know, the thing is
and you can see
entrenched.
to a pastor from the voting patterns. When you go home tonight, go and Google our last 4 or 5 presidential elections. You find that this candidate, say, comes from Eastern Province. But where he comes from, say, if he comes from Chipata, you get so much vote. Even the turnout is huge. Muntuasu. But within the same Eastern Province, he records very poor showing in other districts because they're saying, kind of work Chipatoyo. You know what it is? If you kuno kumambwe, now that is very dangerous. That's what I'm saying. It is not on at national level. It comes down to districts, to constituencies, even wards. Even if we are not careful, this thing can even be found in churches. Because you start looking at people different from what they can offer.
You are saying that it can be found. It's already found. Because when I look at your church, evangelical, most of the people who come are from Northwestern. Even the pastors, mostly, they are from there. If you go to Dutch Reformed, you find that it's Tumbukas. You go to, I can tell, if you tell me that I'm from UCZ, I will tell you probably which tribe you come from. If you say I'm from, New Apostolic Faith, you know.
You know, on the right and not pastor, I was invited to be the guest of honor to one of our churches in Mumbwa. And the direction they gave us was not very clear. So I was with one of our deacons from our church. So we kept asking, where is the evangelical church in Zambia here? We're not making progress. So I told the deacon that just ask at, where is the church Yabakaonde Kuno? So he says, no, I can't do that. I said, just ask. He asked the gentleman by the road, said, where is Ushukuno Kulibeko church Yabakaonde Peseka Party? No, Mkaenda check prison. That's what you are saying. But really, it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. We should allow people to interact at whatever level. And I've been asking myself, we started this journey as a country in 1964. I think we had a review of our journey in 1991. I don't think we have had that review of how far have we moved from 1991. Because we need to ask ourselves, we moved from 1964 to 91. There were a lot of things, both positive and bad, which happened. But I think when we came in 1991, we just said everything UNIP did, good or bad, out of the way. So there were certain practices which we discarded. Now we moved from 1991 to where we are. There were certain things MMD introduced, and where are we now? So perhaps we need to ask ourselves a question to say, after having moved for 27 years with Dr. Kaunda and UNIP, and the last maybe 30 years now with about 5 presidents, can we take stock of what has happened from 1964? What things can we now get from all these systems and maybe come up with one hybrid which will help us? Why am I saying this? There was the other day, there's one of the group on which I am, and Honorable Vernon Mwanga, Maiba Pongosh, posted, I think, the results of 1964 or 67 of the, what he called the Legislative Council. And what I noticed there, people were not sent to go and stand in areas where they come from. Because Honorable Mulemba, who is a Northwesterner, went and stood, I think, somewhere in Petaok or something like that. And when you look at that list, people who come from Western were sent from North to Northern, Northerners went to Northwestern, Northwesterners went to Southern. I think that helped in trying to unite the country. That's why we are saying there may be some of the things which Keke did, which we may have discarded with the excitement we had in 1991, which we should revisit. For instance, I remember when I was young, the people from Northwestern were not being sent there as governors. They were being sent to other areas. So that if a Tonga is sent to Northwestern province, the children are being born there, is going to school with their children in Northwestern, and they learn to blend together. And they learn to look at themselves as brothers and sisters. So I think those are some of the things we should now start asking ourselves. What has happened to us really? Because leaders must rotate. So that when you are sent, if today I'm a Northwesterner, I'm sent as a PS in, say, Northern Province, I should not be working I should be doing the best because these are Zambians and I've been appointed to serve these Zambians. So we really need to revisit our pastor, the journey we have traveled from 1964, and take stock. What has worked, what hasn't worked, without blaming anybody, but just agreeing that this is the way, the direction we want to take. Yeah.
But me, I can tell you, Mr. Mumba, I am of the strongest opinion that this tribal thing is killing development.
Of course, yes.
It's killing development in that by the special grace of God, we had Dr. Kaunda, as you said, who believed in posting people. You are from Chinsali, he will send you to Mongu.
Yeah.
You are from Mongu, he will send you to Eastern. And he crisscrossed the country. And you find intermarriages now. You find the children like Mubanga Mumbuna, you know,
Yes, yes.
Chileshe Habasonde, that kind of thing. Now, this tribal politics, it's getting on. You
You
remember?
find the Samson Mudenda, you know? Yeah, so.
You remember you were coming to Senanga
Yeah.
with President Chiluba. By the way, we didn't tell the people that you were senior principal private secretary for the late President Chiluba.
Yeah.
May he so rest in peace. What else did you?
I also served as senior private secretary to Honorable Pando Mape when he served as vice president. I was also privileged to serve His Excellency President Rupia Banda as the senior private secretary, and then I ended up as permanent secretary for Northwestern Province. Yeah,
When you came to
Senanga.
Senanga
President Chiluba, yeah.
with President Chiluba, you came to commission some houses or the road
Yes,
somewhere there.
yes,
And you remember that I had a crusade.
yes, yes, and I was surprised myself to find you that far.
Yes, I was in
Wow,
Senanga
yes.
having a crusade.
Yeah.
I have conducted crusades in Mongo and Senanga. I've never been to Chinsali. I've never been to Kasama to conduct a crusade.
But isn't that beautiful?
Yeah,
Isn't that the Zambia we want?
yeah, because one of my good friends, Pastor Mutemwa, comes from there.
Yes.
Now, when you came, I noticed in the night there were a lot of flashes and what, and I didn't know President was coming.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
your team came to listen because we were by the
Yes,
roadside.
yes, yes, yes.
Now, the following day, President Chiluba invited me
Yes.
to go with you.
I
Remember?
Yes, yes,
To go with you. And when I was asked to pray,
yes.
oh my God, some people didn't come for the crusade. The following night,
Yeah.
they said, you see, Chiluba sent his brother
His brother
to come and
to come and organize us that before he comes. But it wasn't that.
I didn't even know President Chiluba was coming.
No.
Even him, when we met,
Yeah.
he just said, Wamashina, why didn't you tell me you were coming here?
Yeah.
But some
I
people,
remember I told him that, Mr. President,
Yeah.
Pastor Chiluba Bakata said that. Kuno.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
oh, you told him?
Yes. Kabalete. But it was taken as if it was.
He sent me
Yeah.
to prepare. So some people, I saw even some elders of the church, they just said,
yes.
yes, they just said, so he thinks we are idiots. He sent this here.
Yeah.
And there I began thinking, what will we do as a nation? Not to mix politics, God, and all these things, but we look at ourselves as a nation. And that time it was not grave. Now it is
grave.
very.
Now, I admit, Pastor, we have been very careless with our. Again, it's our politics. And sometimes it scares me, sometimes it saddens me. You know, it's sometimes I even get shocked. Now, I'm very mo. Reason wako bit weird. Why? Because you are criticizing Bululu Wakwe. You know what it is. And yet we are trying to be objective. And as long as also we don't look at politics different, as long as you look at tribe, that is why, even if Bululu Wenu is not performing well, whether an MP, whether an councillor, whether an mayor, you can't say anything wrong.
No.
You know what it is. There's a friend, not a friend of ours. I think you know Professor Lumumba.
No.
One of the great scholars we have, and a very good orator. I was watching him the other day.
Which Lumumba? This from Kenya.
Yeah.
Oh, I know him. I thought it was, yeah.
You know what he was saying? That where he comes from, it has reached a stage where even if somebody has done a wrong thing, he can't be touched. That even if he's a thief, he's our thief, leave him alone. You know what it is, eh? Because if it's me also, you can't demonandi, nangunarufyanya mwimwikata iyo. Nikabora ala westrekeren. But if you are and he has denied the nation, including your children, certain things, you know, and sometimes you even get proud for nothing. No, he's my relative. But he's destroying even your grandchildren's future. You may benefit as an individual today. What about your grandchildren? Are they going to go to that family's relative or that kind of stuff? So for me, again, even you pastors must pray for the country and also counsel. Because sometimes I see that even you, sorry to say this, men of God, sometimes the America compromise nako certain things. If you mwaliba ko aligned kuri uyu na ngwarufyanya kumulolesha afya, you know, uyu ngarufyanya nako. I mean, look at what is going on now. The amount of violence.
No mbelo tamula fumap.
Yeah.
Agoga compromise mula kamona na muline. Na muli kamunet. Because
that's an unfair question.
no, because why have I asked this, Mr. Mumba? I'm on record here.
Yeah.
I'm on record with my wife to say don't bring that stuff. Because me, I believe, I'm a pastor to President Lungu, I'm a pastor to Kambwili, to HH. That's a position I've taken. You've never heard me
and that
bringing
is the way this country must go. But what are we seeing? And sometimes I wonder, you know, look, we're talking about violence in Mufulira, violence in Monze, violence in Monze and everywhere. What beats me, our leaders are just accusing each other. You know what it is? No, you have not condemned the violence of your cadres in place A. We are not seeing that at all. Wakateka like my older brother Waendiga Rungu. He should come out very strongly to say what happened in Mufulira is unacceptable. You know what signal you send to those guys? Oh, our president will support. I know he doesn't support that. You know what it is. But he must come out. Hey, you are on your own.
The ones who were booing the president.
You can't do that to the head of state. It's unacceptable. I expect my brother in Waichechi to stand up and say, what happened in Monze is unacceptable. I don't want to hear that any UPND cadre has done that. You know when that happens, we'll see some coming down of these excited cadres. But what are we seeing? Our leaders, they're attacking each other. You know? So what message are we sending? Even in the church, in your condemnation, you can clearly see at Kwaba group Yama pastors who come out very strong on the president. You know what it is. But in the first group of church, they don't come out very strong. Again, you notice there are a group of pastors who come out very strong on HH. The first group of president, they are not very. Now, what are you telling us at the end of the day?
That we've been bought as a church. That's the whole point.
So how do you, because you must show us, you must be objective, you know. Now, and you, the pastors, are the salt of the earth. So what you teach us should not only be read or spoken. I must see in the pastor that we are pastor, we are gathering a courage. But what we are seeing, meanwhile, we are going to elections. And the temperature is rising. So for me, the Zambia I'm looking for is the Zambia where our leaders will stand up.
But you see, Ramumba, it's not to cut you short. Your observation as an elder is very, very good. Because I'll tell you what, the church has been compromised. I always say this. The church, whether it's poverty, whether it's what, I don't know. But the church has been compromised. Because, as you said, I always say this. What happened to the president in the Southern Province? It's unacceptable. Because let's take HH. Tomorrow is the president. Don't you think they will boo him somewhere? Where is
We're
the
setting
people?
a standard and
We are setting a pace.
Yes. Yeah.
As you said, HH and those southern members of parliament who said, no, we can't go there because there is COVID, that's a lame excuse. When the head of state is there, according, it's the presidency. It's not Edgar. It is the office he carries.
Yeah.
It's like us as pastors. You read the Bible. You know, Timothy says, pray for those in authority. Whether I'm UPND or I'm MMD or what, the fact that the leadership is there, president is there, I'm mandated to pray for him, not to curse him.
And maybe,
That's what
Pastor,
the Bible says.
Maybe we also must be able to draw a line between a political leader and the head of state. Yes, President Lungu is the PF president. But for God's sake, he's the president of the
He's the
Republic
head of
Zambia.
state.
So, despite our personal strong views about whatever we think, we should not embarrass the presidency.
No.
You know what it is? On one of the blogs where I am, somebody posted a presidential motorcade na ifwa balelungisha. When you look at that picture, it's not genuine. And having been at State House, I knew that can't happen. Eh? But that picture goes viral, goes beyond our borders. So the picture a foreigner is having is that in Zambia, President wa Zambia, moto era mufila pa musebo, afu mala eminina, balelungisha. You're embarrassing your country. But is that true? That's not true. Because out there, nobody cares whether you're PF, UPND, MMD, whatever you are. As far as they're concerned, they're talking about Zambia. So if we can just try, I know maybe when political emotions are very high, but for me, this issue of, you know, I was at State House, like you know, and I know when we are moving in number one, and I'm being very careful on air. Tatuvuta palyayo.
Takuba kuvuta.
Tekuvuta kulya mumona. That's why we move the lights on. That tells you that's all. Katuliangala. Now, you know, I fear. One day, one of Vazira Skada, Nisna Kabaka, Bole Panbriki, at
Kutowa presidential motorcade.
Those officers will not do chimbuya with them. The reaction will be very bad. Now we can lose lives, and it can result into another thing, Really, we don't want to see that.
My childhood friend, Mr. Mumba, during the President Chiluba, President Kaunda, my childhood friend, he was a paramilitary at State House. We just chatting. He came with his lagarias. So I said, "Iwe boy Peter, nishi mo pitira filia serious." He said to me, "You know, Pastor Chiluba, whether I know you are my friend, you are standing there. If anything happened to the president, whether I like him or not, in your direction, I must make sure that you are gone."
Of course.
I won't say Pastor Chiluba is standing there. So people they underestimate what presidents can carry. You know, you can do anything, but they don't realize that is the state.
That's the state at work. And he's not our first president. These things have been accorded to our presidents. Yes, I've heard people have argued that it's democratic. I'm one of those. You know when Dr. Kaunda was booed at Independence Stadium? I was there because we had gone as Zonzasu. Dr. Kaunda calls us for a meeting, knowing fully that we were Zambia Walatea. So we looked around ourselves, and we thought to be very quick so that we go to the football match. Someone, maybe I'm done, so he delayed us there. You know, lunch, Coca-Cola. So then we said, can we be helped to leave before lunchtime? And the KK says, I'm also going to the football match. So we go together. But somehow, a few of us who were soccer football fanatics, we said, no, it's fine. Then a few of our friends who are not soccer fans just said, out of principle, so we divided ourselves. We, the four of us, drove with KK to the stadium. What we found there was something else. But even then, that was not a planned thing. It just happened because President Chulu had arrived earlier, and then the band with Pongos, they were singing Wauze Gozi. Then people just, it was something which just happened spontaneous. It was not something which was planned. And it's not even a good thing anyway. Of course, some who are moving with the presidential motorcades towards the end of President Chiluba's reign, would be driving, I remember in Quito, coming from Southern Airport. We could hear a few voices saying, Insala, Insala, And then I whispered to the president, Mr. President, I want to watch Rapunda Insala. No, whether they were sent or not is another thing. But we were not finding huge crowds, Because for me, I don't want to be misunderstood, but I think that must stop. If it happens suddenly, it's fine. People just see the president, sending too much the boo, 560, hey, that's fine. But 300 people, I think we are going to extremes. I think that we have enough political platforms to throw missiles at each other. Missiles, I mean political missiles. We are and that kind of thing. But if we can just spare the presidency, especially when he's out of state house, because there are people who have a duty to protect him. And that protection is not limited to him. When God says it's time for him to move, another president will be accorded the same. President Banda, I go there. It's not that heavy, because he's now a former president. But a sitting president, we should try by all means, I think, to give him the honor and dignity. And nothing political for me. Just think that a sitting president must be given the dignity and the honor. Because tomorrow our pastor must have a president. To allow me, I'm confession.
Are you prophesying? Mr. Mumba, Mr. Director, please give me the down scroll there. I want the people to see the numbers because we will shortly be opening it up for the people to discuss with us. Let both scrolls run concurrently. What I'm saying, Mr. Mumba, is this. Me personally, I'm very careful on, because every Zambian, as long as you have the Zambian heart, you were born here, and God sent you as a Zambian here, you have no choice. I have no reason. Look at Cabinet TV, Vamumba. Do you know how many people view Cabinet TV from Solwezi? From Southern Province and the whole Zambia? And you want me to stand here and discriminate somebody?
No.
I can't do that. The politics which are being waged, I'm going to say something here. Let me look in this camera. This is me, Mr. Mumba. Few days ago, let me look into that camera, Mr. Director, thank you. Few days ago, I saw Honorable Cornelius Mwitwa, the Vice President, was on the floor, and he issued some words which even the Speaker reprimanded him and said, apologize. He said, for you to ask me to apologize is like asking me to stop breathing.
Yeah.
Now let me say to Mr. Honorable Cornelius Mwitwa, if you can say that before you go into power, and the speaker is reprimanding you, you say no, and you are demeaning the vice president of the country, and that is your mother, by the way. If you can say that before you go into power, when you have power, who will correct you? And these are some of the things that get on my mind. Again, I say this as Pastor Chiluba, because the crime I've committed in this nation, Mr. Mumba, I failed to hold back things that are wrong. I felt it was not right for Honorable to take that position. Even if you want to drive the point, that's his mother. He's too young. He's too young to look at her as a mother, look at her as vice president. If you can say such things to her, you can say that to your mother. You can say that to any woman. So that, to me, if it's politics and freedom of speech, I took offense, you know. And I wish I had the phone, and when I meet him, I'll tell him again that is not right. And these are some of the things we should be able to desist from. If we are going to build the nation, we must build the nation on substance, things that will add value. You know, like I said, you stood with President Chiluba, neck to neck, and people were criticizing you. You know, you could have chosen to say, let me support some MP from Northwestern. But one thing I like about you, Mr. Mumba, is that you have a nation at heart. You know, you have a nation at heart. Whether growing up in Kitwe drove out that element Northwestern or not. But I think we should do everything possible.
You know, my pastor, for me, my worry is that and we are all aspiring, or the people, our office, our office, to serve the same people. But maybe we should show more love to each other. You know, we should not allow our pastor politics to reach a stage where you can't greet each other, you can't talk to each other properly. I think we are setting a very bad precedent. For me, what I'm saying is the language we are listening to, we is describing this fellow in this manner, or this one is saying this. Is it not possible that we can moderate our language? I'm trying to think of...
But there, Mr. Mumba,
yes.
Now I will speak as a person.
Yeah.
You see, when a person speaks, Jesus said, out of the abundance of the mouth, a person speaks. My mother taught me to respect a woman. My wife, my children, daughters. I cannot say certain things cannot come out of my mouth because they are not in my heart.
Yeah.
But when somebody speaks, it's like the Bible says the eyes are the window to the heart. Out of the mouth, out of the heart, the mouth speaks. So when I insult you, it means I've just opened a little compartment. Inside, there are more insults than you can think.
So for me, I agree that to a pastor.
Yeah.
But what am I saying? I'll give you an example, maybe to try and illustrate what I'm trying to say. My father, apart from working for the council, used to do his own private business, making cupboards and other things. And he used to go and pin the money at weekends. Now, how do you know at Mufia Stendele we know Kwachia? First of all, he comes without anything. Now, when I was a mistake, you have come off your toe. To Kalaya Youth Campu, 5 kwacha. Ukwisa, but what is it that you've done? I've just asked for
5 kwacha.
Yeah, good Pilatuka Youth Camp. Which you want me to go? Because Chamana Youth Camp, like Kukiam Kuram Urubuli Kukapirina Kuratwarelo Mumpanga. But then you realize that okabafumine tabendere bwino. So na bafura kabela, it's like wafuma kunchito na wakukalifia wafuka panganda. And again I'll give you the example of my father. Ngatabendere bwino balefuka panganda. His own sister makes a mistake that mwatandale ni mkwai. Kabela bafumine kunchito. He says mwatandale ni mkwai. So tukutumpa. Ngogo bala tunacham kutandala ni nani? You know, it's not pena kunchito kuja.
That's right.
So what am I saying? When you listen to our political leaders, when they're talking about each other, look straight in the eyes. See a lot of bitterness and hatred. You know what it is? So yes, we can condemn what they are saying, but let's look at it. What is it that you know you can see? You know, you watch the NBC, you hear our ministers talk or our colleagues. You watch another channel, you see other people talking. It's like you know. Now I really don't know whether it's the church which will unite us. We tried it when we were students ourselves. We brought KK and the President Chilwa together to try and say that you are Zambians. You are trying to save Zambians. Can we respect each other? You know? Can we call each other the right names? Can we show courtesy to each other? Because that was one instance we saw in Parliament. But how many of those instances are happening off the camera? You know? And how do we resolve that? Yes, we can talk about this one instance in Parliament. But at the end of the day, what is it that we are going to do to try and make our language come
to tone down
a bit? Because where the tones are ending, when I was growing up at Tatawalenje, you know, you can tell that this person can throw caution to the wind. And that type of inflammatory language, lack of courtesy to each other, because you know, Pastor, for me, I think that we must speak to our leaders, whether in government, whether in opposition, that we only have this Zambia, which we must protect at all cost. And you see, sometimes I wonder myself. That is why even maybe political change to kwata Zambia, tale kwata sana impact.
Impact, that's right.
Why? Because what is it that our leaders are convinced of? You know what it is? Today wabidabale tukanishanya, uyukupati kumakwenga vaivundura, across a floor, they are each other with this one, vatampo kutukoyo. Kulana konga fire akaba, umbiafumako across a floor, they are each other. So start asking ourselves, what is our national agenda?
You know,
at the end of the day, what is the agenda? Because now I see today nakumenoku, tomorrow nakumenoku, today you tell us this, tomorrow you say the opposite. Now it is that type of environment now. Yeah, okay, but now it's just about when we were growing up, kula teva na fenomba. We are posa, but is that the way we should go?
You know, Mr. Mumba, again, I'm on record with my wife that 2021, don't vote a person who doesn't go to church. No, it's true. Who has no pastor? Here you are, Wamumba. You, I've come with you for a long time.
Yes.
From the time you were with President Chilwa.
A little boy.
You see, now, when you become Minister of Home Affairs, Wamumba, Panonipa TV.
Are you prophesying?
That prophecy, you can take it. But I am saying, when you become Minister of Home Affairs or Defense, you can't scare me.
No.
No, you can't.
No.
Because I've known you.
Yes.
And you are saying you are an elder there. Even if you go to Pomosusu, when you say something, I'll be the first one to call you, Wamumba, what's this?
What is this?
Mule to Sebanya. And the Mule Sebanya church. You are going to give me ear. Because ever since you were in State House, You've never demeaned me.
No.
You have always called me my pastor.
I'm quiet.
You have always accorded me the respect.
I'm quiet.
Nangfero mwali ku State House, therefore kumonaba President Chiluba, mwale njeta ku gate, pastor come through.
I'm quiet.
Because of the respect you have for me. So, my point of saying, don't vote people into office who have no pastor over them. You are voting devils into the church. I mean, into the nation. Because if somebody doesn't go to church, he has no fear for God. If somebody doesn't fear God, you think he can fear man?
Oh, no, of course not.
And these are the problems we're having. If you have stolen some money, Vamumba, or Mukula tree, I can come to you without fear and say, Vamumba, nge Mukula tree na umfamwa sendele 15 tracks kukapiri. You know? But if I don't know you,
You can't. Yeah.
where will I start from? I'll just be sitting like this. And this is the beauty of saying, let's have people who can fear God.
Yeah.
You know, who can be talked to. You know? I am not saying that this government, you can't talk to them. And the difference again, Vamumba, as you know me, when you and the President Chiluba were in power, was I talking to the press?
No?
I've never been a man of the press. Today I can talk because of Cabinet TV and I can't hide. This President Chagwa,
Yeah, President Lungu.
I've had the opportunity to speak to him, even when he came to church. You remember?
Yes, yes.
When he came to church, I've had the opportunity to speak to him, and he says, "We're Pastor now." But I can't go to the media and start saying
But
this,
you know,
that I can't.
again, it comes to the motive. You know, I was on some radio show 2 weeks ago in Kabwe. And I was misunderstood I could see some callers. When you advise, in what manner do you advise? You know what it is. Now, if I want to advise you, I should be respectful.
Absolutely.
You know? And again, we are not, because some people say, "Oh, Malet Fendaba President." For me, if you are a pastor and you mean well, come in to State House, Mulanda, our president. So that when we see on TV, we like, no as Pastor Chiluba, I've started to become public because I've advised the president 4 or 5
several times.
I've not seen it change. Not that Katera Tamala Ndanankwe, Maisapa TV, now you are playing to the gallery. And when you play to the gallery, and I was at State House, me, I know. If a person advises by President pa TV, hello, Maisa Weba Mulikundola Tio, XY wants to see you. Tell that, Michelle represent NBC camera panel. You know what it is.
That's right.
So, for me, even when we say, when my pastors help, don't play to the gallery by going to the media. If you think that there is something President Lungu is not doing right, go and talk to him in private.
And that is part of respect you are talking about.
You know what it is?
Respecting the presidency.
Exactly. Talk to him.
I don't know what has happened.
I think it's a commercial break. Talk to him in such a manner that he's able to appreciate your advice. And that even the flip side, if you think there is something in HH is not doing well, as a pastor, don't play to the gallery.
Absolutely.
Go and see him and say, our president, Inez Pastor, Kaina Ama titles now full as prophet,
Bishop,
Archbishop. Now, what are we seeing? Very, very alarming and frightening statements coming from pulpits. We actually prophesize Papa, social media, and that kind of thing. Now, for me, then that is not genuine. You know, if you have observed, you have not heard me say anything for a long time. Because I said to myself, our colleagues are in State House, like we were ourselves. Once in a while, I call some of them behind the scenes. I just in an issue, and what I'm telling you is the truth. This issue, I think this is not the way. And advise our pastor. It's not like a decree. Whatever advice you are giving me or I'm giving you, ufile wa konka, ngata ukonka na nistawa wino. No, you can just advise. We were in State House. We were not the best. Because there are many Zambians very better qualified and more intelligent than us. But we were given an opportunity by the country to save them. And we did. In our view, we keep arguing that we did our best. But that's our best is according to our standards.
That's right.
You know what? Because there was no takwari census or some voting of some kind
some
to vote our performance.
Yeah. Performance appraisal.
So wale tutasha, maybe wale kutasha vipa wale for atuwa president, watch assume what I'm working hard. So, but we are given a chance to work and space. And I've argued myself. Let's give these guys a chance. If we did better than them, we can tell them behind the scenes. That's why you don't hear us saying no, because we think that God gives each group its own time. We had our time. Maybe we have another time. It's only God who knows. But if we mean well, ministers, those who have served, permanent secretaries, those who have been in these positions, and we know better. Where we see certain things going wrong, I think let's speak behind the scenes. But I think my conscience will be clear that what I've told you.
Mr. Mumba, hold on to your thoughts. Let me ask my director to open up the phones so that we can interact with the people. Those of you that are watching, this is National Matters. It's live on Facebook. It's live on YouTube. And we are streaming 24/7. Just go on the Google Play Store and download Camnet TV app. And you can watch this broadcast 24/7. And also, you can phone us on that number at +260 968 675 273. Please use that to call us. The number on the middle is for you to actually send us the text and also the WhatsApp message. Now, you've brought something, Mr. Mumba, which is very cardinal. Regional politics, we need to work on that. I don't expect that Southern Province should just be for Tongas and MPs from there. Eastern Province should be for the Mbewes and everything. When you come to Northern and Muchinga, it's for Bembas. That will kill the nation.
Yeah.
And you know, like I've said, it is easy to start war, but to stop it,
It's difficult, yeah.
you can't stop war. You know, so, and the people have come from Burundi, from Kigali there. They will tell you that Zambians, you are taking your peace for granted. I've heard the church members.
I was privileged
to
visit Burundi and Rwanda with President Chilwa. It's not a good sight.
It's not, eh?
And we should be careful. You know, in Africa, who knew that Ivory Coast will one day be on fire? It was as peaceful as we are. But people became careless. And that's why I'm saying our leaders must speak out very strongly against these vices. Because once we lose it, emotions come very high. You know? And if you are in Northwestern and you are made to believe that a Bemba person is your enemy, then why some fight you? You know what you are going to do? Immediately, you want to hunt the Bembas in Solwezi.
Absolutely.
Now, God forbid.
Just like xenophobic attacks. Once you hear 2 drivers, Zambians, have been killed, each time you look at a South African, you feel like you are not going back.
Even myself, as mad as I'm one elder, I was saying, some guys work South Africa. I think I will can come to your culture.
Amatrax.
It's a very dangerous thing. And we should guard against this. Because if we are not careful, it may not end well for us. And I always believe in life that it's not good to regret. If something happens, you should be able to say, we tried all we could.
There is a call. Let's pick up this call, Mr. Mumba. Hello, good evening. I am permanently blessed, sir, and how are you?
I'm okay. Good evening, Mr.
Mumba, good evening, my brother.
Mr. Chiti, when you see me writing on the phone, I'm not despising your contribution. I'm just writing your name on my phone. Okay, Mr. Chiti, please go ahead with your contributions.
Thanks very much, Pastor. I just want to contribute on the topic and the discussions you are having.
Yes, sir.
Pastor, don't you think in our country, for a long time now, I'm Bemba myself, and both my mom and dad are Bembas. For a long time in our country, according to my observation, Tongas have been mostly discriminated in this country. But I'm not saying that in Tonga and we don't have people who are wrong. That's in every tribe there are people who are bad in character and the way they do their things, who are tribal. But all in all, according to my observation, Pastor, in this country, Tongas have been discriminated to the Iman. And that is the reason why sometimes, Pastor, you find that the Honorable Mwitwa and some other members from the opposition, those who are started as Tongas, when they are told to apologize, they answer with their bittermost act. It's not that they don't realize they are wrong. Maybe it's because of the amount of assault that has been imposed on them by those who are in office. If you are to follow the happenings, Pastor, you agree with me that this government has been merciful as ministers in the higher position, been accusing the other side of the opposition of things that they don't do. You talk of gas. Gassing was associated with the opposition, but who did the gassing? That's the question. You talk of some ministers standing on the post saying, no, we don't talk about rule this country. But I think you want to go faster. We can do better. Politicians are benefiting from this tribalism part. And sometimes that as Zambians, we practice the demon of tribalism of our seats, Pastor. We should go, even when you are put as a mediator, Pastor, between two people, you have to know as they explain who is wrong and who is right. Or else, even if you are called to mediate, if you don't know who is wrong and who is right, you have to bring peace. You have to cancel that one you have seen that is wrong. You cancel him that these things you don't do. And you who is not wrong, these things that your person, your friend is doing, you don't repeat.
Now, Mr. Chiti, let me interrupt you there. When you say Tongas have been discriminated, who discriminates the Tongas? Which tribe? Please switch off reduce. Mr. Chiti.
If a better person to answer, but to phrase it in this way, Pastor. Among ourselves as Zambians, Pastor, there is no one who discriminates the other. If it comes from politicians, those politicians who are members, the Tongas to the mass pastor.
I think
Among ourselves, the Pastor Chiruba and Zambians, this tribalism issue, the issue of discrimination, doesn't exist. We live as one, we intermarry, in markets we sell together, and everything we do them together.
I think what I'm saying, you know, I think he has missed the point, which we are bringing. Sorry, Mr. Chiti. You see, here we are talking about against tribalism, not discriminating who. We're talking about against tribalism. For me personally, that statement of Mr. Chiti to say Tongas have been discriminated, it is heavy because I can't point who has discriminated who, because we are talking about the Zambia so that we be together. We talked about regional politics, of which I keep on saying here. I look forward for Echisanga to be a member of parliament in Monza or Dundumwezi. But as long as you are not from that region, you cannot pick up the membership of that. I look forward for Mr. Habasonde or Habasankwa to be member of parliament for Chinsali Central. You see? And also Mr. Mufwaya from Western Province to be a member of parliament for Chipata. This is what I'm talking about. Have you heard?
Yeah.
And this is the Zambian I've been looking for. Not saying when our president is booed, the minister says Copper Belt will be a no-go area. Those statements are not supposed to be coming out. When our president visits Southern Province, is booed, those things are not supposed to be happening, you know. And for the statement like Mr. Chiti has brought, I can't identify myself with it. We're talking against tribalism here. We should be one Zambia, one nation.
Maybe one can just say that in our leaders, politicians, must tone down on this problem.
I'm telling you.
I don't know whether you remember that for a long time, MMD had the district chairman, Mr. Mudenda, in Kasama.
Mr. Mudenda?
Yes. Tonga pure. But it was district chairman. We had Mr. Potifa Chungu.
There is a call. Let's pick up the call. Hello?
Hello?
Good evening.
Hello, good evening.
How are you, sir?
Hello, Pastor Chiru, how are you, sir?
Permanently blessed. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
Pastor Chiru, you're speaking to Mr. Mutale.
Mr. Mutale.
I'm calling from Kitwe.
Mr. Mutale, please go ahead. I'm with Mr. Mumba, by the way. You haven't greeted him.
To be specific, I'm calling from Chimwemwe Township. I don't know if you know this township.
Kuita kusaidi kuchimwemwe.
Kuchimwemwe, quick upside. Oh, Mr. Mumba, how are you this evening, sir?
Very fine, thank you. How are you?
No, look me much better.
Tuliwela chimwemwe ifwe.
Sure.
Emkwai.
That's what I'm saying here about.
I did my grade 1 to grade 7 at Natwange Primary School.
Oh no, you must be a teacher.
Emkwai.
Now, Pastor Chirua, I'm one of you're one of my favorite pastors, I must confess to you.
Yes, sir.
You are such a blessing to most of us.
Amen.
And I'm always watching this community television.
Amen.
Now, there's one more thing I wanted to mention to you. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. You will correct me.
Feel free.
You mentioned something about me. I'm running partisan incidentally. I'm not TPF. I'm not UPF.
That's who I am also.
Partisan.
Yeah.
So, Pastor, when you commented to say me to say Mr. Moito was wrong to say what he did to our owner, the Vice President. This is public rebuke to your young man. I don't think your young man or is your friend. So me, I think it did not go well to me because it is quite public. You are censuring him to say you are wrong, you shouldn't have done that, and these are politics, Pastor. Sometimes I thought such issues which are delicate and very sensitive, you could probably leave them to the people in Parliament. Because they don't just claim to say they have privileges and this and that, and as people watching from outside, they will just probably take point and hear what happens next. So I thought, I think our man of God, Pastor Chua, should have held on because already you commented on that during the heat of the moment. You know what is happening, and censuring Moitwa publicly, and everybody is hearing. I think to me, Pastor, and everyone could correct me, it did not go to me, Pastor.
Before you cut, Mr. Mutale.
No, I'm not cutting Pastor.
Yeah, before you cut, my apologies to you and to Mr. Moitwa. If at all my speaking on TV has not been received well. But what I have said, Mr. Mutale, you see, this thing is in public domain. It was said in Parliament, it is on social media, it is trending, the whole nation is debating about this. And the people know that Mr. Moitwa said this. All I'm saying as a pastor is that was wrong to say it even in public and on Parliament TV. It was not. We should desist. I'm giving as an example so that you, Mr. Mutale, when something is wrong, please just do it quietly. I'll give you an example, Mr. Mumba here and I are talking. You have never heard me say anything against the HH because HH and I, we talk. He phones me, I phone him, and my president there and anyone or Dr. Mumba like this. But when something becomes public and the young people are watching and they are listening what is coming from members of Parliament, I am just protecting our mother and also respect when we are doing politics. So if at all it has come to you or to Mr. Moitwa like an attack, I apologize.
Not only me.
I apologize, but I am simply saying let's not wash linen in public, and let's give an example. Let's set an example to people that are watching. And this thing, Mr. Mutale, it's in public. And
yes, Pastor, just a minute. Pastor,
yeah.
You are the father to many people. Now, Mr. Moitwa, some people are saying there's nothing wrong that you did. Others are saying, no, you were wrong. So, you fall in the category of people who are saying he was wrong. Others are saying he was wrong. So, Pastor, my pastor, maybe like Mr. Mumba suggested, you should have telephoned me to have said down my young man, I think what you did as a pastor, please, can you apologize? Can you do this in confidence? But not ensuring you publicly like that.
And how will the Zambians?
That you should have kept it to your own themselves.
Mr. Mutale, how will the Zambians know what is wrong, what is right? May I reduce it to the fact that let's do politics with respect. This is what I'm saying. But to cut the story short, Mr. Mutale, allow me to apologize. I was wrong. And I will tell Mwetwa I was wrong. Thank you so much for your observation.
Okay.
I take your correction.
Thank you, Pastor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mweto. Mr. Mutale. Yes, Mr.
No, it's important to get the feedback. Yeah, for me, I'll repeat what I've said. I think there's a lot of undercurrent, and I think that's what we should attempt seriously to address. Yeah, because like I was giving an example of my father. But because there's already some frustration from some situations, and I think that going forward, surely there should be an opportunity for our leaders to interact. For me, that's really my plea.
And that's the cure.
Yeah, that's my plea.
That's the cure.
I'll tell you something. It saddens me sometimes, and it also saddened me. You know that it had to take President Julius Mwalimu Nyerere for President Chiluba and Dr. Kaunda to talk. It shouldn't be like
when
that.
He flew over here.
Yes.
To come and say, release Dr. Kaunda.
This is the old man. Because we locked up the old man on Christmas. You know what it is. And people who didn't know, because Dr. Kaunda was saying a lot of things behind the scenes. And I'll tell you one, I'm a North, so I have to be very selective to what I say here. One day, Dr. Kaunda decides to burn voters' cards. And I think we were in Colombia, South America. And when I Bochitalu Sampa, may he so rest in peace, was Minister of Home Affairs. And he calls us there. He calls me. He says, Mwaiche Wandi, therefore kulanda kona wakateka nga wakwate njita. Pantu Kaunda apela opportunity, ndiye mukambata fya kipa. Our state property. You know? And the minister was geared to airlift by school. So, and actually even he said, Tule ikata tumela kunyansa la ndikumiabo. Therefore, I feel permission from the president. So, time difference, I told the president, a minister of Home Affairs, in our job, we first brief the boss so that the code doesn't surprise him. And the minister says this is an opportunity to kamata wakeke, wabike pandeke, waweshe kunyasarandi. President Chilwa said, Mwaiche Wandi, ma vote ya wawi nipi wanao waleo, chabale keni. You know what it is? Is the campaigning unipe. Because I'm a vote wabale tuwala kwenye wawi nipi wanao. So, leave him alone. What am I saying? Dr. Chiluba was ignoring a lot of those things, but they were building up. You know what it is? KK would say this, Amdala, you would say, ignore him. But things
started building.
They were building up. When information came, apparently those things from the coup issues and all, Amdala didn't want to listen to anybody. Says, Bakaunda Wambo na Shani, I would deal with him. You know what it is. So for me, we should try to see, because when you listen to our leaders, the words they use against each other, or you are a radio station, even when you listen to the debates in Parliament, you can see tensions there. You know? Now that tension we are building is what scares me. And for me, as long as we don't address that, what we'll be singling out single cases, but those are symptoms of a bigger problem. And we are fighting the symptoms and leaving the problem.
But this is what I say, Vamumba. Listen, if, like you said, this is what I say. If you and I are not going to fear God, we'll still have a problem.
But why backslide? So
the Bible says the heart of man is desperately wicked and corrupt. The solution to this, I remember the late President Sata, may he so rest in peace. You remember when you were coming in power, I issued a statement from Ivalinoni College when I had a live telecast.
Yes.
And I said, even if MMD comes into power, they cannot solve the problems Dr. Kaunda has failed to solve without God. Do you remember that?
And we thought, no, Pastor Kaunda
Navamushita. And that's what brought us closer to President Sata.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what brought me there. To President Sata.
Yes,
because he wanted to know, why are you supporting Kaunda? I said, look, without God, you can't solve this. And that statement, let's pick up this call. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Dr. Chibura.
Good evening to you, sir. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Roxon Lungu.
You are?
Roxon Lungu.
Mr. Lungu, please go ahead and speak.
Good evening, Mr. Mumba.
Good evening, Alungu Mulibwanji.
Mulipo Mayaoze.
Tiriko.
Mulipo, not Tiriko.
Oh, you know I come from Solwezi, so pardon me. Noma tu mwisho.
Yes, Mr. Lungu. Yes, sir.
Yes, the topic which you have brought is very, very educative. Yes, but you are 100% right, because that's the way our leadership should be portrayed. You don't have to compromise. As a man of God, every time we should be very straightforward. That's the way you go and with Kamumba. I congratulate you people on the topic which you have brought. It's only the people who cannot understand. The topic is very, very, very crucial, and it's to building the nation. If with our political arena the way we are now, it's really in danger. Because we are not trying to do a good politics. It's like a heavy politics. And to start with, Zambia is a Christian nation. Now, I don't know how our Christianity has been portrayed to be compromised with evil. So far, the speed of politics where we are, there is no doubt. People, they think we are divided on our character and doing. Because our politicians, the thing which that will start portraying, teaching people is not the right way of going with politics. The leaders which is going to remain, the younger ones, they are going to take it. This is the way our politics must be, of butchering each other, neither beating each other, neither insulting. Because I've never seen political parties coming together, neither to dialogue, neither to say their manifestos. What are they going to do to people? But apart from drinking kachasu to Jirigiri and insult without respect. Which means our politics now is leading into something else again. We are no longer in love. When Kaunda started this, there was one Zambia, one nation, whereby the way you elaborated it, people, they were transferred to go and work in different provinces. People, they were transferred. Me, my grandfather was in Uliwala Materere, it's a shaken. That's where we are born, all of us. Whereby now, if I see a law there, how do I treat a law there? And then, or when I see a Tonga, how do I treat him? It's my brother.
That's right.
But now the way how we are handling things, I don't know where we are going. These politicians must sit down, and neither the churches should raise to bring down these politicians, to educate them with the word of God. So that they will good with the word of God. The word of nation is 2021 will come. We should be seeing this MP is going to go or no. If he is not voting for him because he has got no mentor. So we need to change. want to do, we have to bring a good legacy. The issue of Burundi and Rwanda are not a good thing. If the Congo, Bukavu, those are not things.
I'm very grateful, Mr.
Hello, Pastor?
Yes, Mr. I'm just saying that get to the point so that we accommodate one or two callers and the messages.
Yeah, my point is politicians must reflect from whatever they are doing now.
That's right.
Yes, they have to reflect all of them. The ruling and ruling, they have to sit down and bring a good dialogue whereby people that must be more surprised about politics. Politics is not about yourself, neither fight, neither hate, no.
That's right.
Politics is about the governing.
Absolutely.
So I'm really so grateful with you, Pastor Chiuba and Mr. Mumba there.
Amen.
It has been long when I met Mr. Mumba.
I'm around.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm happy to see you again.
Thank you so
Thank you very
much.
much.
Have a wonderful day.
Greet Avena Chimwemwe Bonse. Abantu besu. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You see, Mr. Mumba, one thing I must bring here. I commended you, and I still thank God for you, because in your discharge of duties, you were neither here nor there. That's why people didn't know you come from Northwestern Province. When you remain professional, you are also uniting the nation. I'm reminded what he was saying, that our politicians, you know, sometimes politicians don't even know what we people do, commoners. I'll give you an example. I was reliably informed, when I say reliably informed, from people that were on the ground, that when our president was visiting Southern Province, the police officers went down to bring down the UPND posters and all this. If that is true, that's not the work of a police person. You can't, even if PF hires police to say, let's go and pull down, what will a poster do? A poster cannot change somebody to say, I will vote for Mr. Mumba or what. So also professionals, when you leave your profession and you start joining the cadres, you are going wrong. You are going to bring war in the name of authority.
You know what you're talking about, Pastor? There are a group of people, both in politics and in government, in political parties, who are a danger to their political parties, to the system, and to everything. Those who do, I want to talk about my exercise. I'll give you an example. When I was PS in Northwestern, and I'm sure the people of Northwestern are listening, and there are people, and others who tell you.
Can you finish that? There is a caller, I think let's take him as the last caller.
Because I want
so
to
that
say
we
something
finish.
about that.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, sir, please be fast because we are running out of time. What?
I'm going with Chola.
You are? Mr. Chola, please go ahead and speak. Mukwai.
Mukwai na program yenu. Ukulandecho abantu wafiri wamwe kwa siku ya dini simuitwa.
Okay. Vachola, sorry to cut you. Sorry, don't cut him. Let me say this. I have apologized there. So going back, you are not doing the nation a favor. I have apologized to him. I have apologized to Mr. Mutale. My apology is public. And what you have forgotten is that right here, I even mentioned Valusambo. to say what Mr. Lusambo said, to say HH can't go to the copper belt was not wrong. But no one has come out on Lusambo. You are just looking at one aspect. I have apologized on Muitwa. I also spoke against Lusambo. You are not wanting to see that. So I'm saying, bring your point. I've asked for apology. Just bring the point. What is it that you want to say?
I'm just apologize.
I think it's about Chumf. If you know Bandela and that, bring the point, Vachola.
Okay, the point is, I've apologized to you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chola. I've apologized. Yes, you were saying.
The point I was making, I was PS there. And when I was PS there, MM was in government. And outside ShopRite, PF put a very big, I think it was a billboard or whatever, a placard, a big one. And MMD wanted to uproot it. So there was all sort of confusion. So I called the provincial chairman, the late Mr. Patel, and I called Bamulemfo to my office as PS. Mr. Mulemfo was in charge of PF. And I said, I don't understand. But PF, they've put their poster in front of ShopRite. And I remember MMD teacher Shupa. What I can, and the commanding officer, I think, was there. He's now in Western Province. And I said, what we can guarantee as government is that we make sure both the PF and MMD fiashala palapen. You know what it is. Now, sometimes when we do that, it appears as a weakness. It's not a weakness.
It's leadership.
You know what it is. And I had another scenario where MMD came to say, they are keeping the PF. So want them to be fired. So the general manager of Lumwana came to see me. So I called again everyone. I said, tell me, are these PF cadres campaigning at Lumwana in the mine plant? At Pamanyama compound. They are about to confuse one someone per market. But mine. So I said, what happens outside the mine is none of my problem, is none of my business, and is none of the business for Lumwana. Ima pa market paria, ima muri wa ruling part. Just go and do your homework and counter these guys. What am I saying? Sometimes, and I'll tell you something also. A lot of things are done in the name of the president without his knowledge. If you are to ask President Lungu to say, if you think to me to kill up one to fingi, Mule Shiva, you said chow. You know what it is. Me to try and impress by Okateka, na I stage into in my name. But in the name of the boss. That's all. Our president Walesa Kuno, if you think of UPND, and yet he hasn't even told me. You know what it is? So overzealousness, Mafum Yefitenge Filia, Valabe never Fitenge Mafurwa. Now, Baba emotional, what do they do? We know Laisa, now you get to the president inconvenienced and insulted for something he didn't even know. So there must be need. Let's just avoid dumb excesses. You know what it is. And in necessary extreme positions, Chitenge fechiri angabapita president, so what?
You can't take offense. There is
the president knows there is UPND in Zambia.
Absolutely.
And if you have UPND, so why remove them?
And with the police officers.
Why remove them?
Go with the police officers and say bring them down. For what?
So for me, and that's why I'm saying that, we need to address a lot of underlying factors which are making our politics become a bit nasty. People should just control small little things. You know what it is. Small little things. And for me, once our leaders start ignoring certain things,
absolutely,
bachiluba baleto balimo batimwacha wandi nga wabelenga newspaper n'abantu because twalekitanga twabelenga mu post you take to the president mwana never balembere ba post lero the president chiluba uluka ati and said niwe balembere po chao no manje wandetera you know no but then the president will turn the paper abishamankana then he says right in a post in Belenga Coffee Sports page. That's what he will tell us. You know what it is. Now, we must try to do things in that format. As leaders, we must ignore a lot of things. It's like in marriage, even as a church leader. You know, we ignore a lot of things. Even in marriage, whatever your wife does, if you are going to be talking about it every day, there will be no peace. So both sides kufilo kwa bato wamone chintu as a leader, regardless of your level, at all levels, because some of the fights we're having, they are taking place in the district where the president is not, where HH is not. So at that level of the district, where are our leaders there across political parties? Why are they allowing what they're allowing? You know, because leadership must be exhibited at all levels. You can't fail to be a leader at a word, then we'll go to parliament to get a minister. Then what do you bring to the table?
And just keeping quiet. This thing also, Mr. Mumba, it chews me up.
Yeah.
Because, as we said, if the president and all these presidents can sit down together, you know, you and I have been friends for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
You think your child can fight my son?
Never.
It can't. I mean, she can't come follow.
Exactly.
But when the UPND, MMD, and PF, and all these parties, they start demeaning and insulting each other. The ones who go without reason are cadres. They will go and hack people. And yet we are members of the same
family.
In this church, Mr. Mumba, I've got MMD, I've got PF, I've got UPND, I've got all parties, they are here. And in leadership, they never argue. You see how they work together. Because they have the same
father. That's how it should be.
They never argue.
And on a lighter note to a pastor, when you talk about presidents coming together, it reminds me of one scene, I think in 1995-6. You know, the usual confusion, and then there was some initiative that can all the presidents meet together. And President Chiluba agreed. So I think you remember that incident. So we went to Muno. After all the presidents were there, we went to Mulungu's conference center. Now when we arrived there, I want to tell you, but the president now Africa. So everyone remained seated. They remained seated until much later on. So Mwabi Lungu, my brother, was Dr. Kaunda's assistant. Charlie Nkalipai name. So I decided to follow Mwabi Lungu Kunganda in the evening. I said, "Yo Mwabi Lungu, walisa isa Kunganda to say we prevail the president to come to this meeting of presidents." Twice Isa Mwakano Kuiminina. You know what Mwabi said? He said, "My brother, we are very sorry." Because the bodyguards were too huge, we didn't see that the president has arrived.
That's a good
It was
one.
malicious, but we laughed it over.
Yeah.
Now you can imagine Chiluba's aide, Kaunda's aide talking. You know? We didn't destroy our friendship. Because Mwabi Lungu is my brother. And I mean everywhere, and everyone knows that. But we didn't allow. We used our brotherhood positively. You know what it is. Mwabi came to my house to say, "Please, you guys, prevail on the president." And he was representing KK. And when I thought that the president was demeaned, I went to Mwabi's house to say, "Why did you do that?" So if we can try to talk to ourselves, even off the media, behind the scenes,
We are talking.
we talk, you know. I think it will help us a lot.
Mr. Mumba, I can only thank you. We are 5 minutes past the news,
Yeah.
but we haven't even finished. There are a lot of things.
Yeah, I saw the items you sent.
I sent you the items. We haven't even
We have
talked
not discussed
about it.
about the economy.
So I think let's make a date for next week.
Yeah.
Because this nation, if there are people that are troubled, I am.
Yeah.
I'm one of the people because I wish my wife was here. You know, I fail to discriminate. I look at President Lungu, I look at HH, Vakambwili, Nawakwe. You know, these are people who are made in the image of God. Now, for me as a pastor to start aligning myself with one of them, I don't want to even sink to that level. But this is where we are going now. Even as a church, we are also following. I am a pastor for Lungu, I'm a pastor for HH, I'm a pastor for Kambwili. Fionse fiefishabana mu Bible. You know?
No, you have educated our pastors in conclusion to bring us together, you know, and to be very honest with us. But at the same time, I think don't play to the gallery. Advise our leaders in an environment where they will feel respected and appreciated. And truly, I think they will listen. At an individual level, I did try to talk to most of these. These are my older brothers, most of them. Those are my big sisters. I call them, I'll talk to them. Now, at the end of the day, we have only one Zambia.
Absolutely.
You know? And I'm now 51, a pastor. And if we follow the order of the Bible, 70 is supposed to be. I'm not scaring you if you are getting nearer.
No, I'm 60.
You are getting nearer there.
Yes.
But in the order of the Bible, I'm remaining with 19 productive years. You know what it is. So most of the things I must start doing and advocating for are things which will have a bearing on my children. You know what it is. And I speak truly. If really I'm troubled, and this is a public forum, if I have a really big problem which will be pressing me, I can go even tomorrow to see the president, and you attend to me. I have that privilege. If Mullah Muget becomes president, and I have HH, and I have a pressing problem, I can go and see him, and you attend to me. Now that's me, because maybe of the journey I've moved. Is that privilege being enjoyed by my children? No, my grandchildren. So we must work towards a Zambia where, connected or not connected, they can make a living and enjoy their country. And maybe when we talk about discussing economic issues next week, maybe that's what we must now be talking about.
We'll definitely.
What country are we going to live? I don't have a grandchild yet, but I've got grandchildren. Children. What type of Zambia does Pastor Chiluba, does President Lungu, does HH, or our leaders, our ministers, our members of parliament? What Zambia do we want to see beyond our authority and power?
Amen.
Thank you.
To the Zambian people and to all of you that are out there, let's maintain respect and love for one another. This tribal thing, it's a deadly snake. We must kill it together. And what you said also, I want to admonish the social media. Whatever you are posting on this nation, people there are picking it up. Like one journalist, the American, said, you know, Zambians, you are selling your country, Africa. You remember that? He was speaking again to Lumumba. He says, in America we have nice things, but we don't post them because we have a duty to paint our nation positive
and protect ourselves.
But African journalists and these people are having media now. It's a platform now to post even bad things, like you are saying the presidential motorcade is broken down. All those things, how do you... Well, may God...
Where?
May God bless Zambia, and may God Let's work together as brothers and sisters. And those of you that may take offense on your pastor, listen, the Bible says love your enemy. If you think I'm your enemy, you have no choice but to love me. Keep watching Camnet TV. And you know Camnet TV is not another channel. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mumba.
My pleasure.